When you're sitting with a man who has this fear that you're talking about, what are some questions that you reach for to help him find that his question really isn't what he thinks it is, but it's this deeper anxiety that he has kind of behind things?
I'll start with the big one. I was trying to debating in my head which way to go with this. The big one. The big one is a belief that there's something outside going on, a circumstance, a woman who won't kiss him, somebody who is avoiding conversation. There is a dirty look you got, haven't had sex in 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years, whatever the number is.
3 years,
or 3
quite
years.
common. Yeah.
and there's all these circumstances, and these are data. And he uses these outside data points to judge whether or not he is okay. And the question becomes, what if that's not true? What if it's not true that your sense of peacefulness, value, worthiness, okayness, and that is, you can call it self-esteem, self-respect, mojo, whatever the word you want to use, that in this very moment, you get a grin on your face, the kind of grin you get when a friend tells you a dirty joke and you're like got 2 beers in you and the world is great, the grass is green and the sun is out. That feeling is your natural state, except when we're in a relationship and we're a little immature, we use these data points of what she's doing, thinking, saying, implying, and we use it to make ourselves feel small. I need to have this. I should have this. I should have more support and adoration. I should have my gaps filled up within me because I'm naturally broken. What if that's not true?
Yeah.
What if it's not true? So that's the first one I ask. That's an existential question, and that's why it's a big one. That what if you are naturally okay, and the purpose of your marriage wasn't for her to fill up all the gaps of insecurity and brokenness? What if the only purpose of marriage was to learn how to love? And that phrase, learning how to love, implies there's a process involved, much like there's a game plan to winning a game or being good at something. There's a process involved. Getting feedback through the heartbeat mechanism is a part of a process. Athletes use this all the time in the process of becoming better athletes. What's the process of becoming a better man, a better father, or a better husband? It takes years, and sometimes it takes some weird crap and gadgets sometimes to help you with the process. What we're trying to tell Martin is that she has no business in your process. Your process is your business. And until you own that entirely and stop blaming things outside of you for not making you feel empowered, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah, I think any man who's actually been through this process is very familiar with the leap of faith it feels like to stop believing that she has that part of that process. You remember that scene in Indiana Jones, the third one, where he's got to go across this chasm, and it's like a leap of faith, and he's reading something, and he steps off, and he finds like a foot below is a stone bridge, but it's like painted to look like the gorge. And then he throws stone across, and you can see it, but until then, it looks like a complete just stepping off into a void. And that's how I felt. I felt like somebody was asking me and inviting me to step into something that looked absolutely crazy, because my own conditioning was, well, yes, she's a big part of the process. She's not just not a part, she's most of it, right? And I don't know where we got that idea, but I know I was pleasantly surprised to find out that it wasn't a part, and the freedom that came to me as a result in every area of life, not just marriage, was significant. Part of that fear of taking my eyes off it, I had this erroneous belief, Steve, and I'm sure you did too, that if I stop paying attention to it, it dies, right? Because just like you mentioned in business and everything, I was used to controlling things to see them through to an end. And so I had this weird idea, and I find this a lot of people I talk to, that marriage takes this constant attention, like it's a fine piece of machinery that you're constantly like dialing in, the fuel air mixture and changing the oil. And actually we talk about marriage and culture like it's ridiculously hard and takes all this
work.
And yet I would find the female in my life and females in other men's life, they want it to not feel like that, right? And that always felt like quite a bit of contrast to me. Like, so it was really hard to kind of pry my death grip off of what I felt like was an absolutely needed level of control. And I would call it manipulation now, but back then it just felt like good management and leadership.
Management, I like that word.
Yeah, to let that go felt like there's no way that could work, right? If I let it go, she bolts, or I lose my opportunity, or she just does what she wants. That's a really common one. Well, if I stop paying attention to her, won't she just go the other way? Won't she just turn into an absolute nightmare, and just let go of everything? And that was a big part of, it was a big source of tension for me. But the thing I had to ask myself is, well, what has 20 years of death grip gotten me, right? And I don't know, that was really where it started to unravel for me, when I started to kind of have a sober look at, how this had worked out for me so far.